you know, I'm smart this way. Let's jack up the car so it's, you know, out of commission right where the shop door closes. Hey, welcome back to the channel. Our old friend, the 72 Plymouth Valiant, is back. Needs a couple of things. This customer sent me a text the other day and he says there's liquid coming from the passenger rear wheel area of the car. And you can kind of see the wetness on the tire right there. We'll get a better look. And then he says, you know, I also get just a tinge of coolant on the garage floor every once in a while. And he says it's kind of in the center of the car, underneath the main K member. So he drove it out last night, and from his place to my place, about 6 miles maybe. So it got up to good running temperature. We didn't see a leak at that time. As we were doing some other stuff in the shop last night, we just let this sit. And then we checked again before we went in the house, and still no obvious sign of a coolant leak. Now, we do have just a tinge of what might be a leak right here between the timing cover and the block, but a lot of this staining, this white staining, is indicative of the coolant's leaking. But we had, remember the last time it was here, we had thermostat gasket issues that we had to seal up, and so it had been leaking a little bit there anyway, and probably running down. What we did notice last night was, first of all, you know, once it cools off, check coolant. She's right there where we left her, guys and gals. So if we have a leak, it's not an extremely large or powerful leak, but if you follow our overflow hose here from the radiator, comes over here to the passenger side, down here, connects to a little bit smaller hose, and then it's just kind of held on to the frame here, and it's open-ended down here. And last night, before I went to the house, I could put my finger on the end of this hose, and there was coolant there. So on these older jobs, the ones that don't have the catch cans and that kind of stuff, what happens is, once you do some service to the coolant system, like we did last time it was here, you burp the system, you fill it up, you top it off, and then it kind of has to go through its own little growing stage where it decides, hey, do I like this much coolant, or this much, or this much, or this much? And over a few cycles of driving hot, cold, it will, you know, spit a little bit out until it finds its happy place. Number one, we do have, after it drives and gets hot, there's probably a little bit of expansion within the cooling system, and it's probably pushing a little bit of coolant out of the overflow tube, which is not a problem. And then it might be splashing down and going on to the core support bracket and leaking under the car. That's probably happening for sure, but at a very small pace. And then the other issue is we might have a coolant leak at the timing cover. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go all out on this one, and we're going to put in a brand new catch can for the coolant overflow. And you know, no expense spared here. We dug through the recycle bin until we found the appropriate catch can. So what we'll do, 1/2-inch hole in the center of this cap with some little holes drilled around. Put this down in the engine compartment. We'll stick that overflow hose into here and tie this up, and we'll drive around a little bit and see what we collect and see if that doesn't eliminate any kind of a dripping after we shut the car off. Additionally, going back over here, it's kind of late in the afternoon today, so you're getting some glare. I apologize for that. We're going to take the old brake cleaner and all around the front of this engine, and it might not get it clean, but it'll dry off a little bit what's there. And between the homemade catch can and drying off the little bit of moisture that's there, we should be able to see if something new appears and deal with that. We went to cross country today, so that's why this video starts late in the afternoon. Good run. Very proud of Jalen. If you see Jalen, tell him good job. Good cross country run. But in the meantime, sorry, I'm rambling again. We got a wheel cylinder. We're going to jack this up in the back. Check what's going on in the brake drum on the passenger side. If you go look at that video again from the first time this car was here, we did the driver's side. It was seized up. Passenger side was working okay, so we did not do that. You know, trying to do some budget repairs here. Quick note, if you're not sure and you have one of these old cars and you got a leak on your rear wheel, you'll see some wetness in the backing plate. If it's a drum brake car, if it's got some sort of disc brake conversion, you might just see some wetness right around the axle tube where your caliper bracket is. But dab your finger in whatever that is, if it's dripping on the ground or just wet around the brake drum or whatever, and smell your finger. If it stinks, it's gear oil. If it doesn't stink, it's brake fluid. That's the easiest way, guys and gals. So let's get to work. Thanks again for checking us out. Okay, here's our custom catch can finished. Big hole, and it's not quite half because there's this little adapto hose stuck in the overflow hose to get it down to where it drains, you know, where they want it to apparently. But that's okay. I gotta save that hose pump. But all we're gonna do, we're gonna take the adapto hose, and then we got 3 little vent holes drilled in there as well. We're gonna take this guy, I'm gonna stick him right there. I'll take a zip tie. We're gonna tie him up. There. Coolant catch can is in effect. And now let's clean off that timing cover. There we go. Now we got that area all dried up. So if it starts to seep again, there we'll see it. Same with this side, isn't quite as clean. The alternator's in the way, but we'll see it if it starts to seep again. Okay, we got our wheel and tire and the brake drum off. Here's our stain on the wheel. Looks like kind of a one-time deal almost. Definitely not axle grease, doesn't stink at all, but definitely was leaking a little something, even kind of stained the rubber. So that's a good indication of brake fluid. We did check the master cylinder, and it's down, you know, just a little bit, maybe 1/8 of an inch. I don't think even a 1/4 inch. Other signs, we actually see a little bit of moisture. I don't know if you guys will be able to, dang it, light, right in here. There's just a little bit of moisture down in there. So, and that boot's ripped now. So, you know, that's, you know, and that's where we're leaking. And then the other telltale sign is whatever paint or coating they had on these brake shoes, the leaking brake fluid has eaten that right off. We're going to go ahead and PB blaster the heck out of the brake line fitting on the back side of this. Let's tear down this drum brake assembly and get this wheel cylinder swapped out real quick. Oh, my liver. There we go, that should do it. Oh, dang it. Should put my pan under there first. What we can do is we can just kind of hang these guys like that. Soybean harvest in full swing. We got trucks galore around here. Take a screwdriver in there and just kind of pop her through. And I may have made a slight mistake. I did not take the bleeder out. Dang it. So note to yourselves that it's a lot easier to remove the wheel cylinder from between the axle flange and the backing plate if you remove the bleeder screw. And dang it, I didn't do that. And then on top of that, it's a tiny size. Yeah, that's what I brought out here. Come on now. Why are you, oh, here we go. I see what you did. Nope. I don't see. There. Minor delay in the game. Come on. There. Okay. Yeah. Definitely leaking. We'll look at that a little more closely here in a minute, but since we are actively leaking brake fluid, let's get the new one in. Oh, this is not the right one. God. Oh, no, it's not. Let's go. We gotta go to parts store. Thank goodness the Irish parts store had the one we need. For the references of the futures, this was a 6-cylinder car. 7 1/4 inch rear end means 9-inch drums. That previous wheel cylinder was for 10 or 11-inch drums, which would be the 8 1/4, I think it was, rear end. But got the right one. We have the bleeder screw out. We are gonna get this back together, hopefully rather we're gonna quickly, because it's getting dark. And then the GoPro battery dies. It's like 10 minutes to darkness. We're trying to get this put back together, and then GoPro dies. Now we aren't going to put the bleeder screw in right away because we want that wheel cylinder to fill up with brake fluid. wheel cylinder's in. We see clear fluid dripping at will, so that means our wheel cylinder is full of fluid, and we can reinsert the bleed screw. That'll work. So this spring was a little bit, you know, sprung. So we don't have a whole spring kit for this, and everything else was pretty well in order, just a little rusty and stuff. So we did, you know, the correct thing, and we went and found our bucket that says drum brake hardware on it, and we fished this guy out of the bucket, a little bit shorter than this guy, and it's going to hold our shoes together. Otherwise it's the same type of spring. So just in case this one's not broken, it goes back in the drum brake hardware bucket, and we're back together. Now we got to go through about 1.5 cans of brake cleaner and some compressed air, clean all this up a little bit, get this thing back together, because we, you know, I'm smart this way. Let's jack up the car so it's, you know, out of commission right where the shop door closes. Yeah, and it's dark now. We have to move this car. A lot of brake cleaner and a lot of compressed air later, and our backing plate's cleaned up. We're gonna wipe out the drum here. Slide it, well, slide it, well, slide it, well, there we go, slide it back on. Okay, slide it off. Okay, we had the nubbin here was up here, and so it was not allowing the shoes to come back all the way together on the bottom. So the drum went on harder than it came off, and that's a sign. There we go. She's happy now. Very good. By the way, and you probably already spied on them, but vintage centerline wheels. Aluminum dish, pretty awesome. Apparently they were on all 4 corners, but somehow the front ones got a little loose somewhere down along the road a long time ago, and wallowed out the wheels, and yeah, ruined them. If you know somebody, 5-on-4, it's got the really small Dodge bolt pattern. Centerline, or I think American Racing made them. I think Centerline was the big manufacturer back in the Drizzy of these aluminum dish wheels. So if you got some kicking around, hit us up in a comment, and we'll see if we can't get you into a deal making proposition with the owner of this car. All right, wheel cylinder done. Yeah, this is happening. We're getting the hoodie out. That's a flannel hoodie for, you know, all you that are paying attention. It was 43 degrees when I got up this morning. Ooh. That time of year, folks, it's cooling off. Luckily, we're prepared. And this will last for about another 45 minutes, and then it'll be too warm, and it's that time of year. You cold, hot, cold, chilly, hot, chilly. Anyway, we got stuff to do. We got to get you caught up on the Valiant. It's pretty much done. Let's go over and give you a final tour. Mackie's out today, chilling in the shop. It's a little breezy. Yeah, we may have to eventually deal with the smoking issue. It's getting bad. So, Valiant, it's been all road tested. You didn't get to come along for the drive. I apologize for that because we just had limited time, but the theory was correct. And I'm just going to leave this in here for the customer to either let hang out for a while until the cooling system finds its happy zone, or let hang out for a long time. But yeah, that's what the coolant leak was. We took it on about a, I don't know, 7 or 8 mile test drive and let it idle, so it kind of got good and warm. The engine did, and then as soon as we shut it off, it burped a little bit out. This is normal on these classic jobs with no coolant catch can. But otherwise, yeah, brakes, we did the wheel cylinder on the passenger rear. That's all done. Brakes are happy again. We did check the carburetor. The customer, it gets a little whisper of whitish bluish smoke under moderate acceleration. I think if you go back to the previous video, we did a carb rebuild on this because it was over fueling really badly, and I think maybe we have some glazing of the cylinder walls due to that over fueling from before. Right now we're gonna let her ride, and if the smoking gets worse, we'll deal with it. Or if down the road the customer says, you know what, I'd like you to diagnose this a little bit further, then we'll get some compression testers out and think about a leak down test or something like that to see exactly what may or may not be going on with the leakages. But for now, it's done. We did go ahead and put a battery terminal on, a little thing like that, checked all the fluids. Car's really happy, runs great, and that one's done. So really good running car. The next thing that I've suggested to customer is it's got a input shaft seal on the steering gear that's leaking. So if and when it returns, that's what we'll be doing. So we're gonna go jump back on the Bronco and do some more stuff to it. That's the end of this one. Appreciate you watching and liking and subscribing. Hey, if you have any comments, questions, tippy top them down below, and we will see you in the next one.